In this video, you learn how to figure songs out by ear. Developing the ability to work music out using your ear is without doubt one of, if not the most valuable things you will ever learn to do as a guitarist and a musician. And anybody can do it. Hi, this is Simon Candy from Acoustic Guitar Lessons Online.net, and in this lesson you learn how to work songs out by ear. I will show you the best ways to work the chords out to a song, as well as single line melodies and riffs. If you've ever tried working music out by ear before and found it hard to do, then keep watching, because it is a skill anyone can learn as long as you have a little patience coupled with the know-how. So let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to be looking at some strategies for working out chords and working out riffs, melodies, etc., single line stuff on the guitar, just using our ear. Now, if you've tried this before, you may well have likely had a hard time doing it. If you haven't tried it before, but you've seen someone do it, you might think it's kind of like magic. And I can understand that, because I had a friend who could do it when I started playing guitar, and it seemed like magic to me. I didn't know how the hell he was able to work things out just using his ear. But of course, I learned how to do it, and you know, it is a learned skill. It's called relative pitch, which means you hear something and you play on the guitar and you relate what you're hearing to what you're hearing on the recording, and you see if it matches essentially. And if it doesn't, then you work out whether you've got to go higher or lower or whatever, right? It's a sort of, I was about to say it's a trial and error thing, but it's certainly not trial and error as you get better with it. What helps is fretboard knowledge, scale patterns, arpeggios, chords, etc., and theory knowledge. Those things really help, because they help confirm what it is you're working out, or they kind of provide clues, you know, sort of breadcrumbs, if you like, as to, yeah, okay, I see what's happening here. It's an A minor pentatonic scale riff, for example. All right, well, I know what notes they're using. I'll just, you know, so it simplifies it for you. Now, if you don't have any fretboard knowledge, theory knowledge, don't worry, okay? Ultimately, it's your ear, so you can work things out just using your ear with no theory knowledge, no fretboard knowledge. But those areas are very important with your guitar playing. Not the point of today's lesson, but you want to be working in those areas anyway, and they will really help when you try and work stuff out by ear. For me, it was out of necessity. I mean, I started playing guitar in 1990, no internet, and you know, I had to go down to the shop to buy tab books, which I did do, but you know, they're like $50 each, and $50 in 1990 was a lot of money, and I was like 15. So it was out of necessity. I had to work music out by ear, and thank God, because I really am grateful in a lot of ways to grow up learning guitar outside of the internet age. Okay, so let's start with chords. Okay, how do we work chords out by ear? Well, first thing is you listen for the bass. Now, the example I'm going to use here is just a single guitar track, but typically if you're working out a song, unless it's an unplugged version of a song, just acoustic, there's a bass guitar, okay? And you can really, if you really listen, you can hear the bass, okay? And the bass typically, not always, but the vast majority of times, most times, will play the root note of the chord on the first beat, where the chord changes, okay? The first beat of the chord change, the bass is more than likely playing the root note of that chord. So if we can work out that bass note, then we've got the root note of our chord. And then from there, we can work out whether it's a major or a minor chord, but the bass first, okay? If there's no bass guitar in the song, you can still listen for the lowest note in the chord, and we'll demonstrate that in a moment, okay? But before we get to that, to simplify things, if we only use notes from the open bottom string to the 11th fret or 12th fret, doubling up on a note, but that's fine. But if we play from the open all the way up to the 11th fret, you've just played every note that exists in music, okay? Every note. Not in every octave, but you've just played every note that exists in Western music. So don't jump all over the guitar, because it just complicates it. Just stay on a single string. Stay on that low string. The note's somewhere there, okay? It's there, it exists. You've just got to hear it and match it up with the chord progression. Okay, so have a listen to our chord progression first. This is the chord progression we're going to be working out. First chord there. Can you hear that there's 4 chords? The third chord and the fourth chord. Okay, so when you're working out a chord progression, listen for music's full of patterns. Listen for repetition. That's a 4-chord progression, 1 bar on each chord. Okay, so even without picking up my guitar and starting to work out the chords, I can already hear that, okay, there's 4 chords there, it's 4 bars, it repeats. So now, how do you know that? Maybe you listen to that and you don't hear that. That's okay. It will become as obvious to you as the nose on your face, okay, very soon. If you train this skill, anybody can do this. I can't tell you how bad I was at doing this when I first tried to do it. But before too long, you start to get better and better and better with it. So be patient, you will be able to do this. But we're listening, okay, so we can hear 4 chords there. Okay, that's cool. Now, let's just listen for the very first chord, and then let's stop it after that chord, because if we let the second chord play, it might dilute the sound of the first chord a bit, like meaning that you sort of forget what that first chord was because the second chord's played now. If you just hear the first chord and then stop it, it's fresh in your mind, at least for a few seconds, and you can then try and find the root note. Okay, so let's do that. That's the first one. Ba, ba. Now, the other thing is using your voice is good. Now, my voice sucks, right? I'm not a singer at all. Not even close. I'm as far from a singer as there probably can be. That may surprise you, maybe, I don't know, but I suck, okay? So don't worry, it's not about quality of singing, but you can use your voice, ba, 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 to find that root note. And then, da, 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 where is that? There it is, da, da, da. And you can go back and confirm and think, is that right? Let me see, I'll play it to the chord progression here. And it matches, right? If it doesn't match, then you figure out, okay, well, is the note I'm playing higher or lower than the note I'm trying to find? So instead of just randomly trying to jump to another note, hoping to get the right one, pay attention to the note you played. And if it's too low or too high, you know which way you got to go. Okay, up or down. So it gives you a clue as to which way to go. Breadcrumbs again, right? Leading you towards the right sound that you're after. And because we're staying on one string, we eliminate the complication of moving strings and having this whole other direction on the guitar. Just stick to a single string. That's the easiest way to start with. So now we've got that first chord. Let's hear it, and let's hear the second chord and then stop it. Here's the second chord. Da. So where is that note? Ba. Lovely voice, I know. It's not there, that's too high. So I know I've got to go lower. Okay, so now I know that note's too high because now it's relative pitch, right? I'm relating what I'm hearing here to what I hear on the instrument, on the recording. And I'm hearing that, okay, that's not the right note. And I'm also hearing that it's too high. So it's got to be one of these notes here. So it eliminates all these notes above, okay? And it's this one, ba. So we had the D up here, and then down to the G. Okay, so now you might take a little longer to work this out, that's fine. I'm just going to go through it reasonably quickly here so you've got the steps, the strategy to use yourself. So let's hear the progression. Here's the D, the G, now the next one. Ba, where is that one? Ba, it's not that because that was the last one. That's still a bit low. There it is. Ba, it's the B note. That's the root note. Okay. Again, you might listen to it a few times before you get to that. Okay, that's fine. You will go from working out single notes, and I mean, you'll look at this chord progression in maybe a few months' time or similar progression, having worked on your ear training and working songs out by ear, and get it down very, very quickly, okay, really quickly. So it really does start to build momentum as you get better with it. So let's listen for the last chord now in the same way, listening for the bass note, and just confirm the first three that we've worked out here. So there's the D, the G, the B, and then this one. Okay, da, da. So this, we know it's lower, da, and it's not far away. It's 2 frets below. Da, da. So again, when you make an incorrect guess or whatever you want to call it, or you're just trying to work out where that chord is or that note is at this point, just listen to where you're at and decide, here whether you've got to go higher or lower. And maybe you don't know yet. That's all part of the training process. So that's okay, but you will get much better with this, I promise. So we've worked out that our chord progression has a D root note for the first chord, a G for the second, a B for the third chord, and an A for the fourth chord. Now we need to work out whether they are major or minor chords. Now straight away I can hear that's not right. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But if you try and play a D minor, and obviously I know what the chord progression is, okay? But if you try and play a D minor to the D, or just hear the D, does that sound right? It doesn't, does it? So maybe it's major. Ah, yeah, that matches, right? It's a major chord. Now, when you go down to G, maybe you try minor. It's really obvious that that's not right, so it must be major. And it is. But of course you can go to the recording and check, and you should. D, G. So you go minor. No, definitely not. Yes, major. Okay, what about the next chord? Okay, that was up at the B. Major doesn't sound right here. It's minor. Okay, so you got the root note, you just got to work out whether it's major or minor. Now there are other chords aside from major and minor, but we're starting with just major minor chords here, right? All those other ones will come as your ear gets better. Last chord. That was the last one, the one based off the A. Is it minor? Doesn't sound right. It's major. So our chord progression is D, G, B minor, and A. So the steps are listen for the bass, if there is an actual bass in the song, or the lowest note in the chord. Find it on the bottom string between the open fret, the open string and the 11th fret. That's all the notes in Western music right there on one string under your fingers. And find the note, the root notes of the chord. And even before you do that, listen to the cycle of the chord progression. See if you can just hear that it's, you know, a 2-bar pattern or a 4-bar progression or whatever. Okay, see if you can hear the changes. But then find the root notes, and then once you've got the root notes, work out whether it's a major or minor chord. Now, it will feel pretty foreign at first, and you might be miles off when you first try to do this. I certainly was. Okay, it will get a lot better. But here's the thing, if you're familiar with music theory, you could probably guess what that's going to be without even listening in terms of majors and minors, because it's in the key of D, and there is no D minor in the key of D, so it must be D major. And there is no G minor in the key of D, so it must be G major. And there's no B major, so it must be B minor. And there's no A minor, so it must be A major. So if you know the key, and you know the chords in the key, so the theory component, then you can kind of go, okay, I know what this is going to be. And it's actually one of the most common chord progressions you'll get. So, you know, again, patterns and repetition and theory knowledge and fretboard knowledge all help immensely with ear work, okay, and working songs out by ear. So work in those areas with your guitar playing, because they're going to come and really benefit you when you're working songs out by ear. Okay, so what about single notes? What about riffs and melodies and things like that? So let's look at a riff and see how we might go about working that out by ear. Kind of similar to the chords in that, well, first let me play the riff. This is the riff that we're gonna work out. Okay, that's our riff. That's what we're going to work out using our ear. If you've got experience in playing guitar, you might go, oh, I can hear that's a pentatonic scale riff, and you'd be correct. So already you've got massive amounts of information there that can guide your ear to the right places on the guitar to find those notes. You might not know what the key is or anything, but you can hear that's a bluesy pentatonic scale riff. So this is where fretboard knowledge comes in, scale patterns and things. That sort of leads you to the right notes, and or at least the group of notes the riff is coming from, okay, the scale pattern. But if you don't know any of that, that's okay. You can still work on your ear. It's just, you know, advocating for working on fretboard stuff and theory as well. Like the chord progression, we just want to hear the first note of the riff and then stop it immediately after that. So it's going to be pretty quick. So you've got to hear it and then stop it, because as soon as you hear the next note or the note after that, you forget what the first note was. As you get better, you'll work out multiple notes at the same time. You'll listen to a riff like that and quite easily work it out, all notes at once. Okay. However, if this is new to you, or you are working out a riff that's really challenging you, then you've got to listen one note at a time. Sometimes things are so quick and you're trying to work it out by ear, you've got to really do that. I still do that now with fast, tricky things that, you know, I might work out by ear. I've got to really, really listen. Okay, so let's hear the very first note and then stop it. Okay, ba, ba, that's the note, ba. So using my voice again. Your voice is a big part of ear work. Again, not singing, clearly, but just to hear the note and then have it, internalize the sound of the note and then get it out on the instrument. Ba, that's the note there. There. See, I went here too high. Ba, ba. Now, it's a G note. Now, maybe you go here and get it there, or maybe you go and get it here, or maybe you get it as an open G. All are correct, really, because they're all G notes in the same octave. So it doesn't matter where you play it on the guitar. You can work out where you might move it to afterwards if you want, for a variety of reasons. But I'm going to play it here. Ba, 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 right? And then let's hear now, what you want to do is hear the first note again, but also hear the second note, and then stop it again, right? Straight after the second note now. You always want to stop it after the note that you're trying to work out. So let's do that. Da, da. So what I can hear there, I've got my first note, da, da, and the next one is higher, but not much higher. There it is, da, da. Now if you went like this, you can clearly hear that's wrong. Hopefully you can hear that's wrong. But you go up another fret, and you'll go, yeah, that's it. And you'll go back and you might listen just to confirm, and then play yours. Yeah, that sounds right. Da, 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 da. So then we listen for the third note. And the third note is played twice. Da, 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 da. And it's higher than the first two notes. So again, it's giving me an idea of where to go to find the note. So we've got this. And then I might do this. And then, no, that's too high. That's the one. Da, da, da. So you might fumble around a little bit trying to find the right note. That's okay. Just make an assessment. If it's not the right note, is the note you're playing higher or lower than the note you're looking for? Because that'll give you an idea of where to go. If you're not sure, then you'll fumble around a bit and you'll find it. And as you do this more, you'll get quicker at it. But so far we've got... So let's continue listening. Okay, da, da, da. So if you need to do one note at a time, then do that. But in the interest of saving time here, let's just take that last part as a piece. Da, da, da. And it happens to be right here, the notes we started on. So it's da, 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 da. Okay. And that is, of course, a riff coming straight out of A minor pentatonic scale. So you might clue on to the fact that it's a pentatonic scale bluesy riff from A minor after playing the first note or two, and then it again just helps you find the riff that much easier because you can rely on your fretboard knowledge in this case. Okay. Now the other thing you start to get better at hearing too, through experience, is how the notes are being played. So if we listen to this riff and we listen to the first two notes of the riff, that's a hammer-on. Okay, it's not picked. Now, you might think, how the hell do you know that? Because I can hear it. Maybe you can hear it too. If you can't, again, time and experience, you'll start to not only be able to work out the notes that you are trying to work out, but how they're being played too. And that is being hammered on. Da, da. Okay. If we hear the next two notes, hear the little bend on the second note. Da, 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 da. Just a typical bluesy thing. It's just a little pull down, it's a quarter step bend. Okay, so these are the finer details, finely tuning the riff that you're working out. And if we hear the last part of the riff, right, that second last note to the last note is a slide. Okay, you can hear it there. Have a listen to the riff again here. That slide. So you're not trying to probably necessarily work all the phrasing out as you're trying to work out the pitches of the riff, of the notes of the riff. Find the pitches first and then listen and see if you can work out whether some notes have been slightly bent or hammer-ons, pull-offs. A variety of phrasing elements will be evident in any riff, so listen for that sort of stuff too. It really is, believe me, it's just practice and taking it very, very slowly. So one note at a time. Then you'll start to be able to work out two notes at a time. Then you'll start to be able to work out 3 or 4 notes at a time. Then you'll start to be able to work out whole riffs at a time. And chords too. You'll work out chord progressions at a time instead of just single chords. This gets quicker and quicker. Okay, particularly with all sort of mainstream music, it's repetition and the same chord progressions and the same patterns are being used and riffs and things. It's not as random as what you might think it is. Okay, so it is one of the best skills that you can do, is working on your ear to work music out. It helps all areas of your playing. Your ear gets better, therefore when you play better, and your improvisation gets better, and it's a great thing to do. It's just a bit of a lost art these days, a little bit, because the internet and so forth, but you know, that's fine, but your ear is king. It's really going to benefit you as a musician. So give it some time and have fun working out your favorite songs by ear. If you like this video, then you'll love this ebook audio from my Jazz Concepts for Acoustic Guitar series titled Arpeggios. In this ebook, you will learn exactly what arpeggios are, how to visualize them on the fretboard, and several ways to use them in your guitar playing. I will run you through 3 key major arpeggio shapes and 3 key minor arpeggio shapes, and how each of these relate to each other on the fretboard so you can easily access them in your playing. Not only will you learn the conventional way of applying arpeggios to your guitar playing, but I will also show you how to instantly multiply your soloing possibilities with each arpeggio shape through arpeggio superimposition. It sounds complicated, but it's super simple. I will not only show you how all this stuff works on the fretboard, but also explain it to you so you can understand the theory behind it all. So click the link in the description below this video and download your free ebook audio, Jazz Concepts for Acoustic Guitar Arpeggios. You'll have it in your inbox within minutes. Let me know in the comments section what acoustic guitar topics you would like to see covered in future videos. I read every comment and I always love to hear your suggestions. If you like this video, then hit that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and of course hit the notification bell button so YouTube tells you when I've released a new video. This is Simon Candy from acousticguitarlessonsonline.net. As always, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.